Going on, friends? Welcome to the Let Me Hook You Up podcast. Today, I've got a special guest with me, my first guest, rightfully so. And we're just chatting. So hopefully, you all, as friends and listeners, can be hooked up with some strategies that can help you in your day to day. But at the very least, have fun, laugh, and all of that is good for your mental health and your physical health. Hi.
Hi.
Well, hi, Lawrence. Yeah.
Hi, Lewis.
I guess tell the listeners a little bit more about yourself.
Okay, so a little bit more about me. My name is Laurentia again. I am Lewis's wife. I am a mother of two kids. I am a daughter. And I am a critical care nurse and I am a student. I'm getting my master's to become a psychiatric and mental health nurse practitioner.
Okay. All right, friends, you see where we're going with this? I'm a clinical psychologist. She's in school to become a psychiatric mental health nurse practitioner. Yep. So exactly what you're thinking. Very, very likely. All right. So you mentioned being a nurse. You know, um, why nursing?
Okay, so the short version of it is I became a nurse because a nurse was really great with me when I needed somebody and I wanted to be that person for other people. So, just to provide some context, I moved to the US in 2016 when we got married. We got pregnant right away. Another but so at about 18 weeks and 5 days, close to 19 weeks into the pregnancy, we lost the baby and we had to it was a lot to deal with. Just the two of us, no family. And the nurse who took care of me was, I still remember her name, Linda, was really, really amazing. And I thought, okay, this is what I want to be for other people. So then I started taking courses to become a nurse, thinking I wanted to be a labor and delivery nurse. But uh, now, when I did that clinical rotation, I found out it was not for me. But I loved critical care nursing when I did the rotation. So then, yeah, I became a nurse.
Yeah. Okay. And if I remember correctly, when you did the critical care nursing, you wanted to then become a nurse. A nurse.
Anesthetist?
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. So I guess that part also changed for two reasons. First of all, we have a dream to start a private practice. So that was one thing. And probably the biggest thing for me is that going into nursing and being a critical care nurse, it's great to save lives. I mean, like, there are days you go to work and come back, and I'm like, I did that. But it's the biggest thing for me is the interaction and the relationship I have with my patients, and especially as an ICU nurse, my patients' families, because most of the time my patients are they don't know what's going on. So becoming a CRNA, I thought would take away that from me because I mean, great respect for CRNAs. That's not what I'm trying to say, but like it's basically you just put your patients to sleep, and I think I was gonna miss that interpersonal relationship thing that I love with my patients. That's why I moved from that to become a psych and mental health NP.
Okay. All right. And how far is school go? How is school going for you? How are you doing in school?
I'm killing it.
Okay, okay.
Well,
Okay, Kayla.
Kayla Bewula show. No, no, like I mean it's tough because I am doing an accelerated program, of course. Um, had to go with that, but and still working full time, and so it's hard, but it's been good. Like
Yeah.
yeah,
Still 4.0.
yeah.
Yeah. You well, how talk to us a bit about how you're managing doing an accelerated program,
Mm-hmm.
doing, 4-time nursing job as an ICU nurse, raising 2 kids. I mean, like being a wife, yeah, there's nothing there. You have zero responsibilities on that level, so I'm not going to count that. But how is it for you trying to balance all of these things at the same time?
Well, like I think that I probably that's where being a wife becomes an advantage because I'm not doing it alone. Like I don't have to. I am juggling all the pieces, but I don't have to juggle all the pieces by myself. So even when I started the nursing program, which was also an accelerated program, and you were doing prac, what's it called again?
Internship.
Internship at the time, and we had the 2 kids still. Like it's. I think it's possible because I don't have to do it all by myself. Like when I need to block like a whole 2 hours to study, I know that you have the kids and I don't have to worry about all of that. And I can just shut the door and study. So, yeah. So being a wife, it's not,
It's got its perks.
yeah.
Yeah. Your husband is okay. He's all right.
He's all right.
we I think you've had some interactions. We're not mentioning anybody's names here. Some interactions when effectively people say things that suggest that your husband is so great. Like he's doing all of these things to help you, and I don't know where I'm going with this question. Even if it's like, how is it when other people maybe create the impression that your husband is so great just because he can take care of the kids for you to do what you need to do for 2 hours, or you can take care of the kids on a day that you have to be at work. Like, why does he get a cookie? Why do I get a cookie just for being a parent?
Well, I guess that's a question for society. but and this may be washing my dirty linen in public
No,
if
feel free, wash,
if I
wash.
if I say this, but like I do tell some of my friends that I do I do have a great husband. I like seriously, I have a great husband, but
It wasn't always like that.
it wasn't always like this. Like I thank God for I thank God for growth. Yes, because I guess I don't know. This kind of brings us to talk about relationships.
Yeah. Today we're just chatting, so we can go so many different directions. Feel free.
Yeah, because okay, so first of all, I think it's also because of how we were raised, the culture that we were raised in, where the woman takes care of the house and that's their role, and like you take care of the like I take care of the kids and you take care of the bills, and that's how we were raised. But we are not in the culture where we were raised. We're in a different society altogether. And even if we were still in Ghana, times have changed where the woman is also going to work and you have a full time job, I have a full time job. It's not no longer just my responsibility to take care of the house, just as it's no longer just your responsibility to take care of the bills. So I think it's all about communication. Like when you need something from your partner, you have to tell them. It would be great if they could know that they had to do it. But if they're not doing it, you have to tell them. You have to set some kind of expectations that, hey, like, if I do all the dishes and you just leave that bowl in the sink and you come and sit here, it's like you're trying to tell me to go and
Wash
wash
that as
that
well.
bowl. And hopefully they married you because they loved you. And so how you feel matters to
To them.
them. And then they do something about it. So it's been, I guess to answer the question, we've worked constantly at this to get to where we are.
And we're still
And we're
working.
still working.
We're
Like,
not, by any means a perfect couple.
no.
We're still working, and I think if I remember correctly, in my mind, it was almost like a specific conversation, but a lot of things changed for me when we talked about the fact that I would never do anything to deliberately hurt you, and in that way, kind of asked you that if there's anything that rubs you up the wrong way, let me know. And also, please keep at the back of your mind that it was not deliberately to hurt you. And that way, we can kind of speak on it more from an open and growing, point of view. And so I feel like with that, I understand you better and better, and I think you do understand me a lot better too as we go along. And that I personally feel that has been really, really helpful, because just as any couple, we get on each other's nerves,
Oh
you
yeah.
know, and I think it's a lot easier if you can approach any situation more from like, okay, he's human. There's a
Yeah,
fault,
and
as opposed to he's a narcissist, or he's going out of his way to hurt me, or he's manipulative and stuff like that.
and I think sometimes we also just have to give each other some, like, treat people with grace. Yeah. So even if, like, I don't even know what I'm going with here. Like, there are some things and the very example I remember was the thing about the shower when we lived in that apartment, where I would always leave the shower thing at a certain when you will turn it on, and then
Right, so for I guess to describe it a little bit more specifically, the shower we had at the time, which I think is the case for many showers, is
yeah,
when you turn it on, it comes from the top. Right. No,
no,
it comes from the bottom, and you
yes,
have to pull a
put
little lever for it to then begin to come from the shower.
yes,
Right. And afterwards, you have to push the lever back down.
which the I guess the difference for me was that I was used to using showers that, which is what we have now. When you pull it up and it comes from top, when you stop it,
It
it
resets.
it resets. So that's what I thought.
Right. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there were times when you would go take a shower and leave it at that setting where, when the minute you turn it on, it comes from the
Yeah.
top. And, I would go in there. I'm like, and then I have to, because when it comes from the top right away, it's too cold, you know, and well, so I guess that's the description. So I guess go back to the point you're trying to make with
Yeah,
it.
and you never actually told me anything about it ever. I heard you talking to Tony about it, like you were discussing. I guess you were talking to Tony about, like, family stuff, like relationship stuff, and you were telling me, like, oh, so there's this thing that Lord does, like, when, and I was going to tell her about it, and I was like, if I think it takes her all of 2 seconds to push the thing down, why don't I also just take those 2 seconds to check when I go there? And I heard you, and I was like, oh, so there are some things that he also does that actually it takes nothing, like, from me to just put it where I want it, instead of always just hounding, like. And so I think that's what I meant by treating each other with some grace. Like, you knew that, okay, this girl is not just leaving this for me to get wet and cold when I get in the shower, and it takes nothing for me to just reset it. So yeah, it was, kudos to you. You taught me something.
Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah, and when you speak about the fact that we had to work at this, it takes my mind to, I think at the time we were not even dating, we're just friends. When you told me that I needed to grow up, it's been a while. It's been a while. So this
Oh,
was
I remember the
when like, and I don't remember what led to that. Like, I don't remember what exactly I had done where you felt the need to tell me to grow up. And I remember in my mind going, who the hell does this girl think she is to tell me to grow up? You know, where I'm going with this is there's so many people who I guess get into relationships for potential, right? It's like, oh, because at the time, I mean, you told me to grow up, and a few years later we decided to date, and some more years after that we decided to get married. For you, before you said yes to get married, was it a case of you had seen the growth,
I
or
had
you
seen the potential.
right?
I guess no, I had seen the potential, and I had seen the growth.
at least some growth.
Some growth, because when there was, I don't think there's ever been anything that like I've told you about that. It's like I see you put in the effort.
Mhm.
So that's what it was. I had seen you put in the effort, like, so, and I guess we also had talked because I think if you remember there was this this time that you came to Ghana, and that we were at Kwesi and
Give to space.
Obaya's place, when like we were getting ready to leave Accra and go back to Cape Coast, when I mean, obviously we used their place, so I was trying to clean it back up, leave it like, and you went out. I don't remember to do what, but then you were gone forever. And then when you came, I told you that it's not going to be like this when we get married. Like, you're not leaving everything at home for me to do. And you were a bit at first like, but then after that, you just started packing everything together, putting things. So even though you didn't say sorry or no, it's not going to be like this when we got married, like when I talked about that, then immediately I saw you make,
A change in action. Like
yeah. So yeah, so before I decided to get married to you, I guess I had seen. I should say that I decided to date you because I had seen the potential, and after I had dated you for how long? We had been in that
for
relationship for,
5 years before I proposed when I came together in 2015.
yeah. If I didn't think we are gonna get married, I would have hanged on for 5 years.
5 years,
Doing
yeah.
what now?
Right. So 5 years in, you had seen that constant effort,
Yeah,
which I'm guessing that we still see
yeah,
out of each other, putting in the constant effort to
hmm,
improve, to grow, to learn around with each other.
yeah,
Right. Now, I think it's important for us to hit that point because I want folks to hear that, that I think sometimes there's this dichotomy, like people feel like you can't marry potential, right? And
yeah.
while that's true,
I guess the difference is it's not you cannot marry potential. You cannot get. I shouldn't say you cannot. Like, I'm by no means an expert in marriage
mm,
or anything, so I shouldn't say you cannot. But you cannot go into marriage expecting that somebody is going to change. That's a thing. So it's not potential or not having potential. We didn't get married, and I was thinking, oh, he's going to change after we got married. I had seen you work on things.
mm,
I had seen you like constantly try to do things that I had talked about, like even going to school, you know, yeah,
mm.
that we fought about so many times. This boy, anyway, and now he's just telling you I'm a psychologist, and
Well, it's not
well,
as if I wasn't going to go to school.
oh, you were always gonna go, but at some point you
I
got
got
a little too
comfortable.
comfortable.
Yeah, I was making $35,000, $35,000 as a McDonald's assistant manager,
which
who
is
was on track to be a general manager at some point. I was hopeful,
which is great
you
if
know.
that's the vision and the hope, but except
Mm,
that that's not what we had talked about,
mhm.
right? So even I'm not sure if you remember the year that you told me, like the year that I was like babe, like you have to get on the school thing that you told me. Do you think you want me to go to school more than
I want to go to
I want to
school.
go to school? No.
Mm.
That was the year that like you were like, okay, so will you go to Legon and start getting my transcript?
Why are you making that face?
Because that's how you talk. So like, and that was a big thing,
Mhm.
right? After you had said no, like you,
Like after what seemed like defensiveness, I
yeah,
still, started putting in the action. Like I still said, okay, can you go to Legon and get my transcripts, get
yes,
things for me so
yeah,
I can
get
apply
things
and all that.
started so that I can apply. So that's what I'm saying. So if you were somebody that we talked about that, and then you told me, like, after whatever you said, and there was no action on your part, like nothing that shows that you are actually going to do something about it, then I cannot come into the marriage thinking that suddenly when we get married,
And you say something that I'm going to do anything with it.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess that's I if I say that I did see the potential, it's like I had seen all of these little things that you were doing and I knew that. But just going into it with a hope that the person is going to change.
Right. Like it. So
That's
if at the time of dating, when you say something, I am defensive, you know, flip you off or whatever it is, and I
yeah.
don't do anything with it, you can't go into marriage thinking that all of a
That
sudden,
is
because we are married, when you say something, that I'll listen.
yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
which makes sense. You know,
Yeah.
it's like, and at that point, if you do go into marriage thinking that I would change and I don't change, you can't put it on me.
I
Because
could
you like, this is the person you married. They were, I was like that before. So
yeah.
you can't make it sound like I'm the one who has
Has a
changed
problem.
or isn't,
Well,
like,
yeah.
you knew what you were getting into. I know it's irresponsible,
It's
right?
yeah.
And it's not taking accountability for it, but it's also on the part of the other person who is going into a marriage expecting the other person to almost do a 180. It's like,
Yeah.
well, where do you think he's gonna get that growth
But
from? The
from
ring isn't just all of a sudden
yeah.
gonna, make him a different person,
If anything, I guess it could even make them worse.
right? Because at this point, you're kind of trapped, which you shouldn't be, but many people around us or in the cultures we grew up in, when they're in a marriage that's not working, they feel like they have to, stick it out. Okay. Well, so marriage, I mean, being a wife, not the worst thing in the world. Sounds
Nah.
like you're having fun with it.
Again, I could do better, but
Yeah.
it's okay.
5 fingers up, 1/4 to informers.
Motherfucker.
5 fingers, 1/4 in your face. Well, actually, there's a nice segue. How I think it's been really helpful that we don't make time, but we are silly with each other. Like everything is
Yeah.
not super serious. Whenever I talk to, so in my day job as a therapist, sometimes I talk to either a couple or someone about their relationship, and we speak about communication. Almost like the impression people get is, I have to wake him up at dawn to, have this serious conversation with him. And I don't think we've done that in a long time.
I tried that.
Yeah. How did that work out? you, you,
Oh god.
you,
I tried that. This was all the way back in Dayton, actually, when you told me the next morning that if I want to talk to you, I should have wake. Man, y'all mouth my chabbing.
well, but why would you do that? Why would you wake me up at dawn to have a conversation?
Man, y'all mouth my chabbing. So yeah, I tried waking. It backfired. That's why we haven't done it.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you. I guess I'm glad you learned the lesson. I actually don't remember it.
Oh
But
god, I don't even remember what I was talking to you about. That I thought it was like
and why did you wake me up at dawn? Was it because you were thinking about it?
because I couldn't sleep.
Okay. So
Whatever
I
it
guess
was,
at the time,
like whatever it was just like at me so much that I couldn't sleep, and then you were just gone, and I'm like, nah. So
we got to talk about this.
yeah, so then I woke you, and it got worse because you just listened. I don't even know if you listened, but I said everything I had to say, and then you were like, okay, and then you just
Went right back to
right back
sleep.
to sleep. So then the next morning, I'm like, I was telling you all of these things yesterday. You're like, first of all, if you have some, if you have something important to do, why would you wake me up in the night? Like, what? You said like I'm here now. Like, why did you have to wake me up in the middle of the night? You know what? Let's forget about it. Let's. So yeah, I tried. I tried it.
It didn't work
It
out.
didn't work.
And since then,
So I guess if for other couples,
they
if
can
waking them up in the middle of the night works,
Right.
why not?
do
But
you? Mhm.
yeah, but I think it's also like as you're talking about, if I think some of the biggest fights, if I remember even the biggest, not some of them, the biggest fights we ever had. This was again when we were with Tony and Dorcas in
Was it Michigan?
Michigan. It was from a TV show that we were watching. So it was nothing that it was. Remember, we were
Mm-hmm.
watching White Collar. Like, it was
Right.
nothing that you had done or nothing that I had
It's
done.
just a general
It was just a
conversation.
general conversation and it blew. So I guess because we try to talk about things as they happen. We don't, and not talk about it as in like
Some serious
let's
issue. Let's
yeah,
set tables and stuff like that.
yeah, but like as it happens, we
We
talk
talk about it.
about it and then
Yeah. And
we
I think it
move
also
on.
helps that we do a lot of, maybe not, we do some things together. Like we watch shows together, right? So as we're watching the shows and the topics come up, we talk about it and then we also go, oh, by the way, like you have to do this or you do some of this, and then, we talk about it. So
Yeah.
because we watch a lot of shows together, it's always an opportunity for us to talk and, there's shows that we watch together and this should be a given, but I think we like each other's company too. Like we like spending time with each
Yeah,
other.
I like
So,
spending time with you. I don't know about you, but
well, I like spending time with you too.
if you say so.
I like spending time with you. So when we're spending time just chilling, sometimes just laying around or whatever it is, then we can also those are also opportunities to talk about things without needing to wake me up at night. If we've been around each other all day, why would you wake me up at
Because it's a
night?
serious conversation.
It doesn't have to be. I mean, to be honest, like I don't remember when that was, but so far since we've lived together, I cannot think of one conversation that needs to be done at 2 a.m. Not one. Like there's not any conversation that cannot be done at the very least by pausing the TV show and us talking about it. So I'm glad you got the
I took
lesson
the
there.
hint.
Yeah.
I took the hint. Huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, talking about nighttime or not sleeping. You remember? I mean, you do remember when after the miscarriage and after the surgery, and we got a bill for
Oh yeah, of course I
90
remember.
94,000 or so, ninety eight
$98,000.
thousand.
Yeah.
All right. So to give people some context, we had the surgery, and at the time we had I don't remember the insurance we had, but
So
we
he said we had the surgery, like you know what surgery. So it turns out when we got pregnant the first time, I was in a lot of pain. Like, oh my God. Like, and then it turns out that I had uterine fibroids that was causing the pain, which I didn't even know I had before we got married. So that is what caused us to miscarry. So after the miscarriage, they advised that we get rid of the fibroids before we try to get pregnant again. So yeah, that's the surgery he's talking about.
So we got pre-authorization. Insurance said, "Yep, we'll pay for it. You only have to pay, I think, $2,000 out of pocket." We got all of that before we did the surgery, and fast forward 3 weeks or so after the surgery, we got a bill for $98,000. And as fate would have it, this bill came in after 6 p.m. So like you can't call anybody,
Yeah.
So that means that we're looking at a $98,000 bill that we can't yet get any clarification on. And I remember
On
in
a
my
Friday night.
so we had to wait till Monday.
Yes.
Oh wow! And in my mind, we did all that we had to do, so we're probably gonna be okay. This is probably a glitch, and even if we're not gonna be okay, we had already engaged with the hospital system where they gave us a payment plan and they gave us like a good like 40% discount or so. So if if we have to pay it, we can get a payment plan and a discount. And even if we don't get all of that, we have the rest of our lives to pay this. It's not a big deal. And in my mind, it's over. We're
Because
done.
that's how you operate.
Right? In my mind, we're done.
Yeah.
And for you, that wasn't the case. How do you operate? Why was it not that simple for you?
Because it's not, because like, okay, like you were thinking that even if we have to pay, we get like a 50% discount. I also went through all of that, except that in my mind, even if we get a 50% discount, we're still paying like over $45,000. How much did we make? I mean, how at the time, like,
Yeah.
and I'm thinking like it's gonna take us like forever to pay off this bill. And then you were also saying, even if it takes us the rest of our life, we're going to pay it off. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't want us to have this bill, not especially when they told us that they were going to cover this.
Mm-hmm.
Because I remember even before the surgery, I was the one who was on, like, let's make sure the insurance is going to cover
Cover
this
this
before
before we
we
do
do
it.
it.
Mm-hmm.
And then you kept saying, even if they're not going to cover it,
We
it's a
still have to
surgery
do
you
it that we
need.
need, right?
So,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, no, I'll take my chances with God. If we have to pay for it, I'll take my
Is this?
chances
Mm-hmm.
because he's still in the miracle business. He still is. But like, I mean, so I think it's also one thing that you you kind of keep me grounded in the
At least I
sense
try.
in the sense that like you break and you may not even remember this, but I remember when we were in Legon. This was even before you were my boyfriend. We were in Legon, and I was going to France for year abroad, and I was waiting for a letter to come from the school. And the school said they had mailed the letter, and I hadn't gotten it, and I needed it for my visa interview, and I had like just a few days before the visa. I was freaking out. Oh, I don't even want to mention the other part of the story, but I remember telling you about it, and you're like, you call the school, they can they fax it or something to you? At the time, fax was
Mm-hmm.
apparently a thing. Can they fax it? You didn't even ask if they could email it. You said,
Mm-hmm.
can they fax it or something to me? I was like, hmm, okay. So I called the school. Eventually, they emailed it to me, and I
Mm-hmm.
I printed it out. But see, that's what I mean by I saw the potential. Like, you know. Meanwhile, there was somebody who was telling me that they were going to pray for the letter to come. But so you kind of keep me like you break things down,
Mm-hmm.
and I guess you have been like this even since we were in Legon. You Even when you look at the worst case scenario of things,
Mm-hmm.
you look at the worst case scenario and what would I do in that worst case scenario, and then you feel like, it'll be
It's
okay.
doable. Yeah. Like I tell some of my clients
Yeah,
this. Like your worst case scenario has to be a realistic worst case scenario. Like
yeah,
don't blow it out of proportion.
yeah,
Like okay, you have a $98,000 bill. Okay, worst case, we're in school to be this and this. At the time, we were in school
yeah.
we're in graduate school, so I'll be a clinical psychologist. Yes, I'll be making roughly this much. With that, we can pay off this bill with this discount and all of
Yeah.
that by this point. In somebody else's mind, worst case scenario, we're poor and destitute and we're on the street,
That is
right? And
me.
that's not a realistic worst case scenario, right?
Isn't it though?
And I remember, I think my favorite part of all of this story
When
is
I woke up,
you did not sleep. Like, I mean, I guess there was no waking up because you didn't exactly have much sleep all night. And then the morning, I remember, like, I'm trying to remember how I knew you didn't sleep. But the morning of, and I asked you, well, since you didn't sleep,
Tindande, build another toy.
since you
So
didn't
until
sleep,
10,000 catch up. No,
Maso, since you didn't sleep, how much less is the bill now? Like it was 98,000. Even if it's 96,000, I promise you this night, me too. I won't sleep.
the,
I'll stay up like 1 week straight, bring it down 2,000, 2,000, 2,000. It probably was funny at the time. It
it
was funny at the
was
time. It is funny
it
now.
was funny. It
But
was funny.
from your end, hearing it, was it legit funny all the way through that made sense, that made you go, you know what?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was funny that, and I think I laughed harder than I'm laughing now because I heard it the first time, but I thought it was funny, and also considering that I called them on the Monday, and they said, "Oh, don't worry, we're taking care of it." They didn't even explain anything. Like, "Don't worry, we're taking care of it."
I'm
Um,
like, yeah. See, you didn't sleep a whole night for no reason.
2 nights.
2 nights.
Friday night, Sunday.
Saturday,
Actually, Sunday
three.
night, I was like,
Yeah,
I slept a little bit, but yeah.
yeah, yeah. Okay. Well, so like anytime I think about differences within people when it comes to mental health, right? And how some people run on a more anxious side of things and some people not. You know, I think about these things because really, me, the part of me that just quickly gets to we're gonna be okay and sleeps on Friday night. It wasn't anything that I learned. I didn't learn in graduate school. I didn't learn it to be a psychologist. I feel like that's just me, and I didn't do anything to earn that. You know, and the part of you that worries a little bit as well. I mean, who knows? Maybe I get it. Like
I
over the course of
think
our lives,
I think it's
we
over the
build
course.
some of that.
I think we've learned it. You did learn it over the course of your life. Like I also learned it because and like we always talk like we always talk about when we are talking about like saving and all of that, that I tell you that because I have been at a point in life where I came from having everything to having nothing. And at that point in my life, I made myself a promise that I'm never going to find myself in this situation. And mind you, I was a kid at that time, so it was nothing that I had done or nothing that my parents even had control over. But and then you also come from the point where you would say that it's because I didn't have much to start with. So I feel like I did okay then. Like I'll be fine. So I think we have, whether it's like unconsciously or subconsciously or whatever, like we have learned it. Our lives have
Shaped
shaped,
who we are
yeah,
now.
and then we just have to try and unlearn some
Unlearn some
things.
things, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I have to unlearn some of my approach towards saving. Is that what you're
Oh
saying?
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely.
I have always been. This is my. I love my cowbell story.
Yeah.
You know, I've always been the person that's. I would go to boarding school or gas school. O mo guesting ye ho tu ni papa no kwanya meso mo sabeni. Ebe brim Catholic for one and yum yum.
We are singing the whole
Aso
thing.
kron kron ni cheche for pa. Mo Augustine,
Yeah,
yeah,
not
nada
that
fo
full
pa,
pa.
hey, oh, to ye,
Monica
Monica
neba.
neba, te ya na sir, na chicha yen. Amaya
Now when you
fatanya
sing
me ne chen.
Adoremus.
You want me to do it? Adoremus in aeternum sanctissimum
And
sacramentum.
you thought and you thought he was all that.
I am all that. Right. So, you know, August school times, I would come to school with these little small packs of cowbell. It was a 20 pack. That's all I had, you know, and I have my Gary and I have my sugar. And you, if you had to deal with that, would probably spread
Over
your
20
cowbell over
weeks. Over
20
20
meals,
days. Yeah.
at least over 20,
Yeah.
soakings. Yeah, that's not me. Because one small cowbell in your soakings, you won't even taste it. So it's like, well, what's the point? So the point where you can actually taste the cowbell and feel like, okay, I have cowbell in my soakings is maybe like 4. So I would rather do 5
Except
soakings.
you will have the daily recommended nutritional value that you need from the cowbell from.
No, 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 no. None of that. So I would rather do 5 soakings with 4 cowbells each and do the rest of my soakings
Raw.
no cowbell.
Yeah.
But you would spread it over 20 and still not taste anything. What kind of life is that?
It's the responsible life.
Who responsibility app? Who responsibility app? You know, but I think actually we have both come closer to the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think you're still that
Yeah.
frugal. That's the word. Yeah, yeah. I think I don't think you're
I
still
think
that
I think I am quite
frugal.
frugal and still frugal in that sense that like I
You're the one that keeps us afloat. If it wasn't for you, we'd probably be bankrupt.
yes, and also like even though so you know that even though I like to save money and all of that, also really love to be able to spend on the people I love. So I'm still frugal in the sense that And I have always been like that. Like, as much as I like to save, I like to spend on my friends and the people that I love, but I have a budget for that. Yeah. So if I'm going to spend whatever it is on this office, I have the budget for that. Whereas you're like,
If the office needs it, or if I think
sometimes
it's
the office
cool,
doesn't need it.
or
In
if I
fact,
think it's
most
cool,
times.
and if I think it's cool and we can swing it. All right, welcome back, friends. We went for a commercial break. We had to go get. I mean, Law had to go get LJ from school, and I guess it's a nice segue into parenting. You know, I don't know about you, but it's the most difficult thing I've ever ventured by far. Nothing else comes even close. Right? How has parenting been for you? 5 years plus in with Lion, and then the last 3+ years with LJ.
It is hard. And I'm too far away from the camera. I mean, it is hard, and I think it's particularly harder because of the kind of kids that we have. Um, so yeah, that's the short answer.
What kind of kids do you have?
Oh, what kind of kids do I have?
What kind of kids do we?
I did it alone, huh?
What kind of kids do we have?
Okay, so I mean, we do have two kids. We have a boy and a girl, Lion and LJ, and they're both on the spectrum, autism spectrum. So it is hard. I mean, Lion, they're both
So different. Two so different
yeah,
people.
different
You know, it was like, I mean,
parts.
not so much different ends of the spectrum as
Yeah,
just
they're
different
just
people on the
they're
spectrum. I guess.
just
Yeah.
they're just different, and I mean, Lion is still nonverbal. Like LJ is, she's considered nonverbal for the most part, but
She's babbling a lot.
she's starting.
That's what I say, Arabu.
She's starting to say some things, which is great and cute. But I think that's what makes it particularly hard. Um, Parenting is hard for everybody. There is no manual, but when you have a kid who doesn't,
Tell you.
who cannot tell you what they're feeling, it makes it harder. So
Can't even tell you when they're hungry. Something as basic as,
yeah,
Mom, I'm hungry, or I need to go to the bathroom,
Yeah.
or I'm cold.
yeah.
Yeah. So how is it for you when you see all of these parenting tips? Like, you need to do this with your child, or you need to be gentle with your child. You need to do this. You need to do that.
You need to be gentle.
Right? Typically, my initial reaction is like, "Bitch, please, you don't know my child." Right?
You-
But then I catch myself.
Yeah,
because the gentle, like somebody saying you need to be gentle with your child, or you need to
Yeah.
think about the fact that your child isn't going out of their way to hurt you, or to be, recalcitrant, or whatever it is. I feel like that cuts across,
Yeah.
whatever style of parenting you have.
Parts that I do not, it's not like I do not understand. I do understand, because I guess all the people that put videos like, why I never tell my child no, like why you shouldn't tell your child no, why you shouldn't let your child explore, like they are dealing with their child, so it's
Yeah,
okay.
or why you shouldn't force your child to eat anything.
Yeah,
If I don't force mine to
your
eat,
child to
he'll be 5 pounds.
exactly.
Yeah.
So I don't get mad. It's like, you do you,
Right?
But
you have your audience, and
yeah,
those that works
so
for.
you as a parent, like we're saying, even with Lion and LJ, even though they're both on the spectrum and they're both like biologically from the same, it's different.
Very, very.
So what works for you would not necessarily work for me. Of course, I'm not, if I see those tips out there, I'm not going to come and write, no, you don't know.
Yeah, like you're not gonna take that extra step to go
Yeah.
write something mean under the post.
Yeah,
like,
I just move on.
keep
And
on moving. Yeah,
yeah, we do the best we can with what we have
we've
been
got.
given.
yeah. And I think we can. April is Autism Awareness Month, so we can spend a lot more time going into raising kids on the spectrum and all of the specific things then. So today we can keep on, just move on and talk about other things. Well, I mean, in a way, the other things still relate to them in a way. Because I'm thinking about how I think that's not been necessarily the experience for many people, especially many people of Ghanaian or African descent who have kids on the spectrum or kids that are not neurotypical or do not have not been diagnosed with any mental health concerns or any developmental disabilities. How has it been for you being a Ghanaian in a Ghanaian community, raising a child like Lion, a child like LJ?
Um, it's like I guess I'm actually struggling to see if we are in the Ghanaian community like that.
Mm,
Because of course when we had Lion, and interestingly that we had friends who had kids just around the same time.
mm,
So like it was exciting to see all of them grow up, and then like you see your child like not doing things that they're all doing. And I think for the most part we have been blessed with the friends that we have, in the sense that they've all been so very accepted. And I'm actually, I don't even know if accepting is the word that I should use,
like
because
there's almost like there's nothing to
there is
accept.
nothing to
Like they
accept. It's
don't.
not. Yeah, they haven't. Yeah, there's
They
nothing.
don't. I don't get the sense when we're around them that they necessarily see Lion as different. You know,
You
like
know,
they don't. You know, it's like, yeah.
yeah, they. It's
Like,
which I know. Like
oh,
we can't even.
where's Lion? Oh, okay. As soon as we get eyes on him, we're good. You
Yes,
know, where's
yes,
LJ? You know, okay.
yes,
Conversation going like
yeah.
none of that.
But before, I guess the biggest thing was like before the diagnosis, when he, especially for me, like when he wasn't talking and when he wasn't like playing with other kids, when I had concerns, that everybody said, no, it's okay, give it time. Like there are kids who don't talk till they're 2. So I guess that's where being in the Ghanaian community, or in our community, it's what we have to do is that there should be that awareness that if your child is not hitting their developmental milestones, we don't just wait.
At least you consult with somebody. If that professional then says, you know, wait it out an additional month or so, an additional 2 months or
Yeah.
so, you know, at least you've done that.
Yeah. So let's not just wait, because there are parents struggling like we are. And I think for me it was also one of the biggest things that we didn't know anybody who had gone through that. Like I nobody.
Mm-hmm.
So it's hard, but yeah, as we try to be supportive and encouraging, we should also just realize that when something is not, I
Right.
don't,
No way it needs to be. Like, especially around the developmental milestones.
yeah,
It just,
we should just tackle it head on, and not just wait. But yeah, our community has been great, really. Like
yeah.
our friends.
Yeah. Except maybe, I mean, most of our friends are Ghanaians, but not necessarily that we are in the Ghanaian community. We just have our
Yes,
small
our small circle,
mini village.
and it has, and everybody has
But it's been great.
been great. Yeah.
Well, I mean, and also we have done a decent job of removing ourselves from spaces where people haven't been. I mean, there's not been a whole lot of
Yeah,
that, you know.
I don't even think exactly. I don't think there's, because even the people.
They weren't our friends. Like I remember when we went to Father Dominic's
Yeah,
ordination, and
they were,
some, you know,
yeah, they were not our
I mean, at the
friends.
time, Lion was only like 2 months, maybe. So I guess.
Yeah, like they're not our friends. And even with other people, with whatever they've said, I think they actually mean,
Meanwhile,
they, yeah, they mean well. They do not. like with somebody asking, like, why does he keep running around this? It's like,
Hmm.
they, I think it's a legitimate question that they
Right.
had, like, thinking about it, but, um, or like, so he's still not
Hmm.
talking, huh? He's still not saying, they really don't mean to offend us or anything. So
Hmm.
we haven't had to remove ourselves from
Any spaces
any spaces
necessarily.
necessarily. I think it's just the selfishness in us that we don't want to keep
Explaining things to
explaining
people
things to people.
or
So we would
catching
rather
people up on things. So we'd rather stay
keep
with the
it, yeah,
circle that already knows.
already,
And,
yeah,
because we see them so often, they know we don't need to
yeah.
say
So,
anything else. Yeah.
so that's what's been.
Yeah. But they are, at least that's what helps me sleep at night. Especially Lion, happy kid, runs around all day, can do it all day.
Yeah,
So he's happy. I'm okay.
yeah,
Right. He's happy. Maybe I don't say he's happy, I'm happy, but he's happy, I'm okay.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's happy. We are stressed, but it's okay.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. But like I said, parenting generally is hard.
Hmm.
How speaking on, I guess, the difference in difficulty, being like marriage is hard work. Like, you
Hmm.
have to keep working at it. How different would you describe, like, how would you describe the difference in difficulty between working towards a marriage and parenting?
That's, yeah. We can't even equate them, can we?
Well, I'm not so,
Because I
like,
mean, like, what I mean is, we are two consenting adults.
doing, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's just nothing.
Yeah,
Not,
there's
nothing.
no similarity
No,
whatsoever.
no,
Yeah.
nothing comes
Hmm.
close. Yeah, nothing comes close. Especially, I mean, again, comes back to the kind of kids we're raising.
Hmm.
It is hard, and I don't know if I don't know if we're ever going to talk like about parenting or parenting kids in the spectrum. But even with that, like, there's still no manual. Like, we have to. I feel
Figure it
like
out as we go.
yeah, we just have to figure it out. Get the help we need, do what we can, and we take it one day at a time.
What's not, I've mentioned this to you before. I think what helps me most days is keeping in mind that it's about them and not us,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because I think if you're raising your child with the idea that they would grow up to be a certain, you know, person, so they take care of you, or they take care of their community, or they do this and do that, to do that, then the pressure to make sure that they are, for example, like, they're ready for first grade by age 6, or they're ready for this by a certain age, or this at certain time, the pressure is so much on you, and so, ultimately onto them. But if it's more about them and them living their best life, and the best, be getting to the best that they can get to, and there's no timeline to it. Like, I mean,
And
there's limited pressure.
yeah, I think it's not just about like your what you want them to be. I think for me also it's what I want them to be for themselves, right?
Mhm.
So in as much as that we're not necessarily raising our kids and expecting that they would come take care of us, or I mean financially, but everybody wants their kid to be independent. It's like we want them to be okay,
To be able to take care of themselves, at least.
at least to take care of themselves. And we live in a cruel world. I think that's the part that gets me the most. Like, it's a very, very cruel world out there, and people are mean and just cruel. And I mean, I've heard people call people who are developmentally delayed stupid. And thank God our kids don't understand that now, even if somebody decides to call them that. But I think that is my biggest worry, for them to be able to be okay. Um, Because now that I'm here, if you call my child stupid, you better do
we,
it
we,
behind my
we're
back.
gonna have a problem.
Yeah, but in in the years when we're not there to watch their back, that's so. My biggest concern is I know they're going to be. I hope they're going to be okay, but it's for them to be able to live in a world where they are safe. And we live. Lion is a black boy in the United States
Who is nonverbal
who is
and
nonverbal and has no sense of
his
danger,
receptive skills next to zero. His receptive language skills next to zero has no sense of danger.
right? And so I don't know if you remember. I cannot even remember what it was that we were watching. I can't remember one of
All these
those
shows,
all
like
these
yeah,
shows that there was this little boy who had a, I think it was a hairbrush, and like they were trying to tell him to stop, and he didn't understand. And I'm
I
like,
remember. Yeah, we had to stop watching that episode. You know, because yeah,
yeah, because that is
that
literally
could be.
my son.
Mhm.
And if somebody tells him to stop and he doesn't stop, he keeps running. It's just because he wants to run. He is,
If he wants to run, he runs.
yeah. And um I hope it's in a world where somebody would chase them, chase him until
He's safe.
he catches him, instead of thinking he's running because.
He's done some wrong, and yeah,
So honestly, that's my biggest fear. It's not for them to grow up to. I don't
take care
need
of us
them.
or be anything in particular.
Or yeah,
Yeah.
that's
So
really it.
be for them to be safe, be happy. You know, effectively just that. You know,
Yeah,
be safe, be
be
happy, be
safe,
healthy.
be
You know,
safe, be healthy, be happy.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. They're gonna be all right.
I pray so.
Fingers crossed. They're gonna be all right.
Yeah.
And I'm glad we're doing this. We will hopefully do more specific things over the next few months, especially in April. You know, but since Lion was diagnosed, we have come across a few people who also have kids on the spectrum. Some from Ghana, and the common idea is that they felt alone. They felt they didn't.
Mm-hmm.
Many of them did not know what resources are available. You know, and well, that feeling of being alone or trying to figure it out all by yourself every single time with everything, that's not great. You know, so hopefully we can speak on things that can help other people, and also we can learn from other people who have already crossed our
Mm-hmm.
part of, you know, like our age group and stuff like that. You know, but you know, let's talk about the autism is a gift narrative. You know,
Yeah.
because in, you know, like there the people who actually know a lot about autism are quick to tell you that, you know, like kids with autism are so smart and they can be this and they can be that and they can do that, etc. When your almost 6 year old is nonverbal, you
Mm-hmm.
know, is not doing so many things, and all you want is, maybe not all you want, but like, I just need him to talk for now.
Mm-hmm.
And you consistently are hearing, you know, like kids with autism are so smart. You don't need to change them. You don't need to, you
Yeah.
know,
We don't need to be
accommodate them.
fixed.
We
We
don't
don't.
need to,
Yeah.
you know, like when you're hearing all of that narrative, like just let them be. How do you sit with all of that? You know,
I think it goes back to what we were talking about earlier. That like you do you. Um. Some. Of course, there are people whose kids have autism and they're doing great and they're probably geniuses, and maybe our kids are, they haven't reached that point where we know that they're geniuses yet. And I guess the biggest thing that, like, the people that say yeah they don't need to be fixed, just our son, because he has no sense of danger whatsoever, has gotten on a roof to try to get to the backyard,
And get onto the
to
trampoline.
get on the trampoline.
Hmm.
It needs to be fixed.
Yeah. No, I mean, how we fixed it was getting what do you call it? Like the little thing so that he can't
So
open
he
the
cannot
window.
open the window because we did
Like,
not even know he could open the window to start with
right?
until that day.
Like he has very little motor skills, and all of a sudden he can open a window.
Yeah. So and like so we are not I don't I cannot really speak to that part because I think people who I have seen videos where people would videos about people talking about how to I don't know, maybe something about ABA or things to do, and then somebody would come and comment as somebody with autism, I am offended by this because like we don't need to be fixed or something. So I do not have autism, so I cannot
Speak to the experience of
speak
a
to the
person.
experience of a person with autism, but
You can speak to a
I can
parent, the
speak
experience of a parent
of a parent
with
who has
a child. I mean, in this
kids,
case, two
who
kids
has
with
two
autism.
kids with autism. We we have to do what we can do to keep them safe and also for them to be able to function in society however that functionality looks
Looks like.
like. So because can you imagine I don't know if you remember like the times when we would take both of them out. This was even before LJ also got diagnosed, and then we would actually put Lion in the stroller and buckle him up, and then we're holding LJ, and people are thinking like, why is the older one in the
In the stroller. Hmm.
because he will dart off and he will go and not
And he's
real
so
and
fast.
he's fast and he will go and not you would not realize and then you will lose your child and
And it's not as if you're yelling for him. He's going to know that mom is calling me
calling
to
me so
come
I
your
need to
way.
come back. So there is and I think that goes for all of us because even as neurotypical people, like what we were talking about earlier about relationships and meeting each other halfway, and we have had to work.
Hmm.
So everybody could improve something about themselves, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah.
So if we're taking line to speech therapy and like when we started speech therapy with LJ and she started signing, I didn't force her not to sign and
Hmm.
then talk, right?
Yeah.
So if
I remember we started trying to figure out what those signs mean,
yeah,
so
she
that
did teach us a
when
few things.
yep, just being milk, water.
Yes.
Yeah.
So if how that's what I was saying that like we need to help them with the tools and whatever they need to function in society. So if functioning means that she's not going to talk but she's going to sign, at least she can communicate with somebody. She can let people know what
What
she
she needs.
needs.
Yeah.
So as a parent, again, as a parent with kids on the spectrum,
And with your kids, with their particular presentation on the spectrum, you do what you think will best help them.
yes.
And I mean, I guess we can speak about ourselves as parents. We care about our kids. We're not going to do anything to hurt them or abuse them or anything. So if ABA is what works, speech therapy is what works. That's what we do. And hopefully, as he gets older, he does understand that.
Yeah,
You know,
and I know like we are doing we're doing everything. We really are doing everything that like because Lion likes to jump around. It's not
we
like we have stopped him from jumping
like we
around.
got him a trampoline, and when it's too cold, we got him an indoor trampoline so he can jump inside.
So you can jump around.
Yeah.
Because he likes to jump from one thing onto the other, we got the beanbag so that when you jump, you have a safe place to land.
Right.
So we are meeting. We are not like trying to
Change him,
change him. We're just trying to
meet
help them
him
function better
better.
in society. And yeah,
In as we talk about going forward, we will talk about dreams that a parent has for their child. and how sometimes you have to throw all of that away
Mm-hmm.
to raise the child that you have,
Mm-hmm.
you know. Because I think one of the most difficult things for me has been having a son almost 6 years old, and I don't think I've heard clearly daddy before.
Mm-hmm.
You know, LJ sometimes mumbles some things that
Yeah.
if you if you push it, sounds
Mm-hmm.
like daddy, and of course, you
I
know,
think LJ does say daddy a lot, but not to you. I don't
right?
know
And
why.
yeah, he says mommy to me, you know, for some reason.
Yeah.
And recently, when we sing Barney, after that we get I love you know,
Mm-hmm.
and Abubu, yeah, exactly. So I guess we're getting it in little bits, you know, and getting into that emotional space where almost effectively your dreams go out the window to just
Yeah.
raise and enjoy the child that you actually have, you know. That's been the I think one of the most difficult things, you know.
And probably as a psychologist, I think I told you this, that you guys don't force that when you give when LJ got her diagnosis and the psychologist was asking me like, was there anything I can do? I was like, unfortunately, I've been there, done that. Like, but I was thankful for what she did, because I feel like with Lion's diagnosis, maybe it's because you were the one who took him for the testing, and the lady
I hope
knew,
it.
and the lady knew you were a clinical psychologist. So, but I when you diagnose a child with autism, ADHD, global developmental delay, whatever it is, I think you forget about the parent. Like, here's your diagnosis, and here's the resources for ABA, for speech therapy, for what about me? Because speech
Oh,
therapy
the
and it,
parent.
yeah,
Hmm.
it's because it's a lot. Like, when you, like you're saying, you have a child and you have all these dreams, and selfish as they are your dreams,
Right.
and then when they're babies, it's like everything is fine, and then one
18
year, 18
months.
months down the line,
Boom.
like, you have to throw away everything that you thought was possible. And then
To figure it out as you go, effectively.
I, like I have told a few people that I talk to, you should probably allow yourself to grieve. And nobody should take this grief out of context. Like, not that, oh,
Mhm.
your child is dead. No, your child is not dead.
Your
But then
dream of a child,
you're,
that is no longer possible. It's just different,
yeah,
right? And you grieve that.
you're allowed to grieve, and you're allowed to feel whatever you're feeling at the time. And then you pick yourself up and you do what is best for your child.
You and your
you
family,
you and your child. I think that's also the other part that you probably were going to get to.
right?
You do
You
what's
know,
best for you and your child. You cannot pour from an empty cup. I always say that, like, you have to take care of yourself so you can take care of them, because you know it's exhausting.
it is exhausting. Absolutely exhausting. Um, Also, I guess a bit of a 180. Earlier we spoke about how you balance, parenting and doing nursing full time and going to school, being a wife, etc. But I guess now let's kind of narrow down as to taking care of yourself. Like, what do you do that to take care of yourself so that your cup is not empty, that way you can pour into your child?
I actually interesting. I didn't think I need much, do I? I just that's which is probably a good thing.
Yeah,
I don't need much to reset. Just,
a few days off here and there.
yeah, like a few hours to watch TV and just watch a show, a show that has a happy ending.
Right, right.
So
Anything else?
yeah, no
Nonsense.
horror, no.
Life is hard enough.
Yeah,
We ain't got
we
time
nobody.
for
Yeah,
realistic shows. We live the reality.
yes. So watch some shows and just I think actually and shopping.
Yeah. It's I think people need to understand though, like most of that shopping isn't for you, you
That's
know.
the silly thing.
But you shop and shopping helps
Retail,
you out.
yeah,
That's okay,
retail
retail therapy.
therapy helps me. Like,
Strangely enough, you actually like the things that you get, like you don't need to return most of them because you do the full thing. Like I guess your whole shopping experience is good because you do the research, you check out reviews, like you read so many reviews before you actually buy things. So
yeah,
I guess that works for you. So retail therapy is
yes,
your way to go.
yes.
Some
You
days
know
of
I love me some retail therapy.
well, good thing you make your own money.
I
Good,
love me some retail
good thing you
therapy.
make your own money because if not, retail therapy would have a
What?
different. We would have to find you a different kind of therapy.
Because it does work.
Well, and I think ultimately just letting yourself feel what you feel. I think for me, is my one of my go tos. Because every now and then, and I've mentioned this before. Sometimes I just go in the shower, play my sad songs, and just ball out.
See, that's what I don't have time for, to
You
go
know?
in the shower and cry. I will come here and get you out of work and cry.
Oh yeah, yeah, no, and I that's okay. I'm good.
You do it by yourself when I'm at work in the shower. I'm like,
Yeah.
I need a
Well,
shoulder to lean on
and for
when
me,
I'm
the,
crying.
the they do it in the shower is not so much to hide it from you or anything. Sometimes it comes at that time.
Yeah.
Because I mean, whenever I like to play music around that time. So on the day, depending on how I'm feeling, turn it on to the slow sounds that I know my songs. Play a few of them and just
Cry it out.
cry it out. And almost like kind of that helps me reset. You know, because the rest of the time, it's almost as if you have to keep it together. You have to stay strong, and there's nothing wrong with that, right? So I'm not saying, like I'm needing to keep it together in a way that is a bad thing, because I do have to keep it together. Like they need to. I need to take care of them. I need to take care of as much as I can. I need to help out, with everything. So I'm keeping it together. But every now and then, I need to just
Yeah.
let it out and reset. And I also love my like personal time. So there are times when I've closed from work,
Oh,
but
we know.
I stay in the basement. I'm not hiding it. I'm telling you. I'm telling the listeners.
We know.
I'm telling the listeners, not you.
That's why. That's why when you said we love spending time with each other, I said I love spending time with you. I don't know about you
I love spending
because
time with you
you
too,
stay here in the basement and
but I also love, I love some alone time. Not even so much some me time, as in like I'm doing anything.
yeah.
But there are times when I'll just be by myself. Be on the phone, maybe watch a show, whatever it is. Just not like I feel like for those few hours, like I have no responsibilities. I'm not somebody's dad. I'm not somebody's husband. I'm not somebody's therapist. I'm not somebody's psychologist. I'm just no responsibilities, like zero. And if I can get into that space every so often, it also helps me reset. And I don't even think it's a luxury that maybe some people don't have. It's more of something that people don't let themselves have.
Yeah, I think we don't, especially as mothers. It's not like we don't let ourselves have it. There is the guilt, right? And you know how you you are able to like put your AirPods in
Don't
like
tell them that. Okay, fine. I'll tell you.
yeah.
I'll tell you. There are times when Lion would cry for what seems like no reason. We've done everything. He's eaten. He's not like we've done everything that we can, and he is just going through his meltdown, and he just needs to, at least from what we have experienced with him so far, sometimes he just needs to see it out, right? And if we're in the same space, which most times we are, or we're trying to sleep, and if I'm hearing it, then it's infuriating, But thank God for Apple to have created a such a great AirPod that is noise canceling. So when I stick those in, I don't hear the continuous crying for the next 45 minutes. So then I'm not infuriated by it.
See, except that I think the difference is, and that's probably why mothers, especially, are not able, or it looks like we don't allow ourselves to have that time. Is that what sounds infuriating to you? It is sad to me. I do not understand for the life of me why. Because, like we always say, I think he's going through something, whatever it is, except he cannot tell
Tell
us.
us, right?
And then, because you see, you know how he cries when that whatever it is happening. He is throwing himself on the floor. He is hitting, like he is, and I don't understand why my 5 year old should have to go through that alone and not even be able to tell me what is wrong so I can help. So it is very sad to me. So then I cannot sleep. I cannot just like pop the, you
Well,
know what I mean?
it's not
That's
just,
no,
you know.
I
Yeah, but I hear
know.
you. Mhm.
Yes, and it's not even anything that you should even feel bad, but because you know how we were doing when they were like Klein was still a baby, and
Like we'll take turns
there's no point for both of us
just
to
to be
be
overwhelmed. And
overwhelmed. And yeah, so one person, like, it's okay, you good, because when he does that and I stay awake all night because I cannot sleep, in the morning you got them and then I'm able to sleep in a little bit. So that's, yeah, it's fine. But I think that's why it looks like we can't, mothers cannot find that balance. There is the guilt that, like you're leaving. I don't know, but there is some guilt.
yeah. Well, and I mean, I guess like, even with this one, with the guilt, we can, move a little bit even outside of the space of, the kids being on the spectrum. Because there's so many mothers that everything is about the kids, and a lot of my friends, Kwabena Kwache, what's up? A lot of my friends kind of, I feel like in a way, think somewhat the way I do. It's like something needs to be done, but it doesn't need to be done right now. Okay, we'll just do it tomorrow. And some of our friends, the mothers, hi Annabelle, can't seem to kind of just say, all right, we'll do it tomorrow. It's okay. They'll be all right. Right. Or this will be taken care of tomorrow. Like I think there's definitely the societal shaming of it. You know, I was about to say, but what else? But I guess the society bit of it is enough, you know, but
F society.
well, there's that, right? Well,
But I
in a
think,
way, yeah.
yeah, but I also, I think that's another thing that we have probably quite mastered. Like, because society is not in this with
They're
us.
not raising our kids for us. They're
No.
not giving us any money to hire childcare.
And F is forget, by the way. If you're wondering. Yes. Society has its own expectations, but society is not paying your bills. Society is not having that breakdown with you. Society moves on
Right.
when you are
When
down.
you break down.
So do what works. Yeah,
Yeah.
do what works. Because yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's the simple thing. Do what works. And find, we should all like do better, try to find a balance, try to find a balance and take care of yourself, because really the kids are going to be okay if you leave them for a few hours. Like, they are going to be fine. I mean, not leave them, but
Unattended to anything. Yeah.
yeah, but they are going to be fine. And I think I also, it's, even for me, it's something that I've had to learn. You remember when Lion was growing up, and I mean, he's still growing up. I said, like, and he would go to his room or a space, and I'm just like, oh my, like, why is he by himself? Is he sad? And then he would always tell me that it's okay if he wants to be, especially if he's not crying or he's not having a meltdown or anything. It's okay if he wants to be by himself. So there was a time that actually, like, I couldn't leave them upstairs with, like, to just watch TV. I felt the need
To be around them.
to be around them, and I realized they go up there and they actually fine. They're having fun. So what's the point? So if that's what they will do for 2 hours, so I can just be downstairs and
And take care of their things, like, make their meals,
yeah,
do their
and do
laundry.
other things.
I think what we have done is to make
Yeah.
sure that things upstairs are safe, close doors,
Yeah,
lock out
lock
windows,
doors. Yeah,
and for lack of a better language, pimp out their loft. They have a trampoline, a beanbag. They have all of these cool
Yeah.
things to play with, these sensory things and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So yeah.
yeah.
Well, and I guess to round up the taking care of yourselves bit, now I would say this: like, we have altogether we have what, like, almost 4 or 5 sets of couple parent friends, and in my mind, it does not make any sense why we are all so stressed all the time when we can pool resources. Maybe two families or two sets of parents handle the kids for a day, so that, yeah, I mean, or at least the rest of us handle the parents for a day.
Bella is
While
going to
one
have gray hair if we leave our kids away.
with her. Well, so it's not always going to be her, right? So, like, maybe once in a while, like, if possibly even once a month, all of us, we take the kids, all of us, like, four, if it's 5 families all together, 4 of us take the kids together to go have fun, go on a date. Just today is for you. You have the whole 8 hours or so. Just, in some cases, we can even have the kids for a weekend. We'll take your kids for the weekend. Go on. And then we rotate. That's what the village is for. That's what having a community should be for. But some way, somehow, we're all almost doing it all by ourselves, and we're all always so stressed, and it doesn't make sense to me.
Well, I think if we would be honest with ourselves, um, we don't even have to do that to have time for ourselves.
Well, there's that, yeah.
Yeah, like, it's really just about making the decision to
And making it making the decision and making it a priority to make time for
to
yourself.
make time for yourselves.
Because really, these days, I think when we try to put them down between 8:30 and
so
9,
we can have
we have an hour to
and-
ourselves before we have to go to bed,
and we've been doing it,
and
it's,
it works.
so truth is, that's what I'm saying, that if we dig deep, we really don't have to do
All
like
that extra stuff.
wait for, like, once a month and take all the kids
To one person's
to one
fam-
person's. It's just about making the decision that we're
We're going to take care of
we're going to
ourselves
take-
too.
we're going to make time for ourselves and take care of ourselves too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to round this up and let you go steady.
Yes.
And
Please.
maybe when we get into February, we can speak more
Into
about
February. Which February?
April. When we get into April, we can speak more about, autism specifically, and maybe share, our stories and how we deal with things, whatever it is that, especially parents with newly diagnosed kids can pick up from, and we share stories with each other. We'll do that then. So for now, I appreciate you joining me and indulging me.
Yes, indulgent is the word.
and indulging me and buying some of my gear. If you want to contribute some more to the gear, please feel free to send the Zelle.
Yeah.
But thank you for coming in and spending time with me.
You're
I
very
appreciate
welcome.
it. I love you.
You say that now. I love you too.
All right, friends. That's all we got for you today. I hope you had as much fun as I did. Cried a little bit if you cried a little bit, that's okay. If you laughed a lot, that's my hope for you as well. But please know you're not whatever you're dealing with, you don't have to do it all by yourself. And you need to make time for yourself because you can't pour from an empty cup, like she said. And I will see you on the next episode in between now and then. Check out your neighborhood psych on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, and I'll talk to you soon. Let's go.
Peace.
Peace.